Bonjour, France. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to find out about 9 things that annoy French people, offend French people, actually. So right here is the channel We in France. So these 9 things offend French people. Watch out, it says. So you better watch out. I better watch out, actually. You're already French, so you already know about it. Maybe not all of you are French. There's people watching from all over the world, but all know now what to do or not to do to offend French people or not to offend French people, I guess, whatever the situation encounters, right? Anyways, thanks for watching with me, guys. Links down below. Let's watch this together.
Bonjour tout le monde! Welcome back to We in France. I'm Diane, and maybe this year you're heading to France on a vacation, or maybe you're already here like me and you want to blend in with the locals. Well, whatever the case, I want to save you from
Or maybe you just watch and learn about France in reaction videos and you're constantly talking to French people and addressing French people and, there's that.
majorly embarrassing yourself, because trust me, there are a few surefire ways that will offend the French faster than you could even buy a baguette. So
Why does it say 10 ways to offend French people there? But the title says these 9 things offend French people. Huh.
I want to jump right into it. And let me say up front, I just want to point out one thing. The level of offense in what I'm going to talk about here today, it depends on the person. There's always nuance. It depends on someone's upbringing, their class, the context of the situation. Some French people are just going to brush these things off like they're no big deal, maybe laugh, maybe not even care. Some people might be a little slightly annoyed, and others might be deeply bothered by what I'm going to talk about. Not everyone's the same. If you're sitting with your friends somewhere, you might be offended by what someone does in your home country, but your friend might not even care. So that's all to say, it depends. I don't want anyone to walk away from this video thinking you need to tiptoe around French people and they're all delicate little flowers that are always going to be offended by everything a foreigner does.
Some of them may.
That is not the case, so that is not the takeaway. So there's nuance, okay? So with that, we're gonna get right into number 1. If you insult their food or their way of preparing food. Now,
I think that's anybody. I'd be offended if you're like insulting my food. I come over, you come over to my place and I'm making dinner and everything and you're just insulting my food and the way I'm preparing. I think that's universal. I don't think anybody would not be offended by that. So let's go.
Now, food culture in France, it's like a religion. So chefs and service staff, they take pride in their work.
Yeah.
And they're going to treat food and meals with respect. It's serious.
And that is the thing I've known all along. Like French culture, cuisine is world class for sure. They definitely take that stuff seriously.
And because of this, they might take it personally if you deliver any criticism. So if you don't like a certain type of food, or you don't particularly care for how something was prepared, be tactful in how you go about expressing that, if you even choose to express it at all. Remember, you're a guest here. All right, number 2.
What's the Dutch people do, though, when they got that Dutch directness over there? They get in fights with the French? Show up to dinner at a restaurant in athletic attire? Okay, that wouldn't offend me, but I would be like, in my head, I'd be like, what are you doing? What are you doing, dude?
If you show up to dinner at a pretty nice restaurant in athletic attire. Now, in the US, depending on the company you keep and where you live, you could get away with going to dinner in super casual clothes. I know where my...
Well, yeah, depending on where it is, but I thought... I understood it as going to dinner in a nice place. That's the way it was framed. Like I just assumed at a nice place, not just a random fast food joint or something. But yeah, if you're going to a nice place, you want to dress somewhat decent. Going there in like a basketball jersey or something. No, don't do that.
My family lives in Florida, shorts and a t-shirt and flip-flops, totally fine. You see people.
It's Florida though. I don't think anybody cares in Florida.
In cooler climates wearing a hoodie and leggings to really casual restaurants in the US. But in France, especially in bigger cities, people tend to dress up for the occasion. So think elevated casual at a minimum, depending on the restaurant. They dress up maybe a little...
At a minimum. See, here, you just go in what you're wearing. If it's just a regular casual kind of thing. If you're going for a function or like an actual, like, you know, if it's supposed to be meant to be nicer, then you do want to dress up a little bit. Like, don't show up in a suit, but a nice shirt, maybe a nice button up shirt.
More than what the average American might be used to. And a good rule of thumb is gym clothes are pretty much a no-go. Gym clothes, like your old sneakers and sweaty clothes, whatever, that's just for the gym. It's not a fashion statement. Overall, I'd say French people generally associate how they present themselves with having self-respect. So showing up to dinner in yoga pants and old sneakers is basically communicating that you don't respect yourself or your hosts enough to show up in a proper outfit. So keep that in mind. And of course, I want to point out that French people do wear sneakers and t-shirts and other more casual looks, but just not out to eat at a nice restaurant or to a dinner party. And if you're curious about what the French wear, if you want to fit in here, I have a blog post I'm going to link below over on.
But we don't do that at a nice restaurant either. You got a nice restaurant, and then you got your regular restaurants. You got your diners, your cafes, your lunch spots where people just dress. They just wear, like what I'm wearing. If you're going to specifically a place that's a nice place, then it's definitely it's like, it's not forced, but it's like just normal for people to just dress up for those occasions, I guess. But not everywhere. Here at least, right?
On weinfrance.com, just about how to dress in France if you're curious. So check that out. All right, number 3, if you bring a bouquet of chrysanthemums to a dinner party, or les chrysanthèmes in French. Now, you're going to...
Why would I do that? Anyways, why would I do that? I don't... Good to know. If I'm ever going out to dinner with a bunch of French people, don't bring that very specific flower. I might piss them off.
See these all over florists, colorful bouquets of chrysanthemums, potted ones, all kinds at florists in France, especially around the fall holiday called Toussaint. That's around Halloween. And no matter how pretty they are, no matter how tempted you are to buy them, I repeat, do not buy them to bring as a hostess gift to a dinner party or a housewarming gift for a friend or anything like that. It's most definitely a faux pas. Mums are for funerals and to put on gravestones at the cemetery. That is it. So if you're not paying respects to someone who's passed on, skip the mums. Now, something else that's offensive is when we're online and we get hit with malware, data theft, and scams. Well, I have a solution that's going to keep your web browsing experience safe and stress-free. Via my link below.
So go down below, guys, to the link. Go to her original video. She has the link for that NordVPN deal. There you go. Check out her deal, guys. We don't need to watch the whole sponsor bit. You just got to go there and do the thing.
It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. And now let's get back to the video. Okay, number 4, speaking too loudly out in public.
This is a thing Americans do in Europe. I hear all the time. I'm not like that. I'm generally, I try to be polite. But, I don't represent all of America. There's a lot of people here that's not so quiet in public. Yes.
Now, Americans and other nationalities, I don't want to finger point, we're not the only ones. We have a reputation for being loud.
British? I hear the British can be quite loud and drunk and obnoxious sometimes in public. No hate to the British. I love you guys. Just what I hear.
Now, you can always spot the...
But you know what? They say the same thing about Americans. So, I can say that, I think. Because I'm also included in that, even though I don't personally do that. Just, I'm grouped into the group of people that are accused of being loud and obnoxious in public, unfortunately.
The American tourist, because you can hear them from across the restaurant. I've been there. I know you have too. And the French, I'd say they tend to be a little more discreet and keep those volume levels a little bit lower than we might be used to. So if you're an excitable kind of talker, you're a loud talker, that's just something to be aware of. You might want to try to speak a little quieter in France, just so you don't call attention to yourself and disturb the people around you. So if someone across across the room can hear your private conversation, or you're turning heads from across the street with your headphones in because you're on the phone and pretty animated and other people are hearing you, that's a sign to take it down a notch. All right, next, telling.
Yeah, and that's a problem. I've always wondered, there's people that are just like that. I'm not like that. I don't want attention drawn to me like that. And, it's like, everybody's different, of course. I've just never understood it myself. Telling someone to smile. Okay. So don't say you should smile, because that'll offend them. Noted.
Someone to smile. And this would happen to me in New York City back when I lived there, when I'd walk down the street, just deep in thought, getting ready for the day, just walking alone. And my default neutral face was blank. I don't and I didn't then walk down the street with a big toothy grin just for the heck of it, and sometimes construction workers would shout and be like, hey, smile. I'd hear people say this to others in the US, always men saying it to women, I'll add. And you might think it's like a harmless thing to say.
It's because it's just men being men. They just want. It's just that it's their way of sparking a conversation with the female. I think that's pretty much that. Yeah.
Telling someone to smile. But I've always found it really annoying that in the US, some of us just wear stress or concern or just a blank expression on our face when we're just alone walking down the street and cover.
I'm like that. My life is stressful. So, oops. Sorry about my face sometimes. I smile a lot more in my videos though. But like if I don't have a reason to smile, sometimes I'm just blank face, like
Covering that with a fake smile just to please others, I don't think is always a good thing. But anyway, I've never heard of this in France. I've never been told to smile in France. And if you do that to a French person, they might find it really annoying or even confusing just to, smile for the sake of it.
Right.
And it turns out in some countries, a smile is earned. It's not freely given. And the default face in France isn't a fake plastered on smile just to put on so others around you are at ease. It's just not the same here. Next, walking right up to someone and immediately start speaking English. Now, I see this all the time here in France in touristy places when foreigners of all nationalities approach French people without any effort, without even a bonjour, nothing. And I remember back in New York City, back in the day, I would be approached by...
That's just the, I think that just comes back to like the entitled American point of view, or like mindset, I guess, right? Americans don't think about anybody else a lot of times.
Tourists pretty frequently. I lived down by the stock exchange, tons of tourists. They didn't speak English and no hello, nothing. And they just started talking to me in their native language, just hoping I would understand. And at the very least, it was awkward. In France, it's kind of offensive. So don't do this in English to French people. And I'll say, yes, people who work in tourism, they'll have at least a conversational level of English to do their jobs, of course. But don't take it for granted. Now, if you do go up to someone and you immediately start speaking English, it's going to automatically turn them off. It's going to come across as entitled. And that's just...
Exactly. And they're instantly going to be like, oh, dumb American. I've heard of a lot of Americans that when they go to other countries and stuff and they start talking to other people, that they've learned along the way that every time they say, oh, yeah, I'm American, instantly the respect, the interaction changes, right? So a lot of the Americans actually like will be in other countries, traveling Europe or whatever. And in a conversation, somebody will be like, hey, where are you from? And they'll say, oh, Canada, because it's so similar. It's so close that, a lot of Canadians sound the same as, of course they have their own accents and stuff and certain ways that they say things, but not all of them. Some of them sounds exactly the same as somebody from the United States. So just out of like, just knowing that the people just give the Canadians more respect off the bat than Americans. It's just funny to know that some Americans are just like, oh yeah, Canada.
It's not how you want to be. No one expects tourists to speak perfect French or even speak conversational French. 99% of tourists do not speak any French. But basic common courtesy goes a long way. Everyone can learn a few words. If you learn one, make sure it's bonjour, hello. They're appreciated. I've talked about that 100 times. I have an entire video on why you should never skip that obligatory word, so I won't repeat it here. Watch the video. You always want to start with bonjour and then ask, does someone speak English, instead of assuming that they do. And you could say,
I didn't even know that. I've always, these videos on this channel, I started out with a bonjour France or bonjour, how's it going guys, or something, right? I guess I'm doing good then. I guess I'm doing good because I didn't even know that till just now, that I should start that way. And I did start that way. I have started that way. Yes. Hit like and subscribe. Damn it. No, I'm just playing.
parlez-vous anglais? Parlez-vous anglais?
Parlez-vous anglais? Is it parlez? Parlez-vous? Parlez-vous anglais?
Parlez-vous anglais? Parlez-vous anglais? And
parlez-vous anglais? Parlez-vous anglais? I'll probably forget that in a few minutes, but how does that sound? Parlez-vous anglais? Sound like a native French speaker, don't I? You thought I was born there all of a sudden, huh?
if they do speak English, they'll tell you. If not, do your best. But remember, politeness wins always. Next, filming people or their wares without asking first. Now, using your phone.
Good thing I'm not a vlogger. Good thing I'm not a travel vlogger. I've seen travel vloggers go through France, sabbatical, actually. I watched one of his videos. He was in France. He was just over there offending people, I guess, left and right, huh?
First. Now, using your phone out in public is pretty commonplace these days, and snapping pictures while out and about, it's pretty normal, but just be careful if you're going to take pictures of people. I had an experience which I told you about.
I don't just... The few times I have vlogged on my main channel, called itscharlievest, I went to Holland, Michigan. Checked out an authentic Dutch windmill that's from the Netherlands, from the 1600s. It's here in the United States now and stuff, and this and that, and walking around with my camera, I felt so embarrassed. I felt so like, I don't know. I'm not used to that. I don't like it. I'm glad that I'm not. I would like to be a vlogger at some point. I would like to transition to that someday, at some point, but it's a whole different kind of like camera shy, and you got the public watching you walk around with the camera. It's a whole thing.
In one of my recent videos about my worst ever experience in France. So watch that video. I'll put it up here. Okay. But something else, when I was at a farmer's market a few years ago, in public, outdoors, it was in a parking lot, right? So not private property. I took a photo of beautiful paella and rotisserie chickens that a vendor had. The woman working there was actually not even in view. It wasn't even crowded. I took a picture of the food without asking because there was no one to ask. And the woman scolded me. She came out of nowhere. I wasn't taking a picture of her, but she scolded me saying, "Oh, madame, you have to ask before you take a picture." I'm like,
well, you were.
Oh, madame, no, no, no. Wait, is it no in France? In French? Ni, nay, ni, something? What does that mean? Prove you're watching this video at this point still. Let me know what no means in French.
Weren't even here.
So when in doubt, always ask before you photograph or video anything, just to be on the safe side. And that goes double, triple with people. All right, next.
And I think that kind of goes along with anywhere too. I don't know that one's specific to France.
Flaunting your money.
Oh, flaunting your money and act. Yeah, this is also something that you should just not do anywhere. For some reason here in America, some people think it's okay. Some people think it's okay. I don't know. I never understood it. Just don't do it. Why? It's just not really. What's the point? It just makes you. It just makes you look like an asshole. It really does. Sorry, but that's my personal opinion.
Acting showy. Now in France, French people love to hate the rich. They really do. And when it comes to Americans,
I hate the rich too. Because I'm poor. Watch more videos, so I'm not poor.
Specifically, They feel, I would say that money creates this sense of entitlement. And I know you've seen it because I've seen it. You see
I've
tourists
seen it.
acting like they own the place and talking loud. And then when the French don't bend over backwards to them, maybe like the treatment they're used to back home, and instead they're treated like any other French person, regardless of their wealth, they feel slighted, like they aren't special, and then the French get branded as rude or unfriendly. Now in France, having a lot of money is seen as suspicious, and if you're going to be showy and flaunt it, that's even worse, you know? And just something to keep.
Suspicious because it's not normal. Is everybody just average? So they're like, whoa, what's all this money? You over here selling a bunch of drugs or something, or like stealing stuff? Okay, you into the shady stuff. Like, why are you flaunting all this money? I could see that. I could see that.
Keep in mind is there are two things money can't buy: class and respect. So be discreet. That's a theme
Nice.
here. Next.
That was good. Two things money can't buy: class and respect. That is very true. That's good. Immediately come on strong with personal questions. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't do that anyways, necessarily. Now, this is different with different countries because you got Dutch directness in the Netherlands. They're not trying to be pry or pokey, they're just more direct, whereas the French. So every culture is going to be different with this, but personally, I don't like to be prying at people's personal life. Anyways, it's like it's not my business, and I feel weird poking it, to try to get this sort of information from people.
Immediately coming on strong with personal questions, things like what you do for a living, how much money you make, just
Oh yeah.
personal questions. And if you don't know someone well or at all, don't delve into their personal life. Small talk, I've talked about it a lot. It's different.
I guess that's not the Dutch wouldn't do that either. That the Dutch directness that's not. Take back what I said earlier, because that wouldn't even be Dutch directness. I don't think a Dutch person would even just be like that either. They would just tell you how they feel about you over here flaunting your money and all that kind of stuff, right?
In France, you can watch a whole video about it here. It's nuanced, as I always say, so just be careful with the personal questions. And to wrap this up, if you want more tips and advice for an upcoming trip to France this year, I have an e-guide you can buy or give to someone as a gift.
I'm
and it
not
helps support the channel. So if you
going
like what I
to France, so but if you guys are any of the viewers out there going to France, now you know these things. I didn't count them. Actually, I forgot to count them. The title says 9 things. In the video, it said 10 things that offend French people. So I don't know. You let me know. Did you count them? Because I didn't. Is there 9? Was there 10? Who knows? Thanks for watching with me. Hit like and subscribe. You guys have a super fun, awesome day. Take care. See you in the next one.